Good evening, I'm Jeff Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange Live on Citizen Television. And you know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about JKL. And no interview has elicited so much reaction as the one we have tonight. How could a man have gone from Chilo Bay to Chilo Bye-Bye to Chiroba and now Chilo back? That's right. My guest tonight right here on the bench, coming later, a little later on, the embattled CEO of the IEBC. What does he have to say about himself and the organization he represents? And also, do we have an election on the 26th of this month, just 22 days and 22 nights away? In fact, we're asking you the question, should Ezra Chiloba resign as the CEO of the IEBC? Again, should Ezra Chiloba resign as the CEO of the IEBC? SMS your answers, yes or no, to 22422. You can also tweet us at Koinange Jeff, at Ezra Chiloba, with an E at the end, so Chilo Bay. And of course, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag, as always, is JK Live. And JK Live begins right now. Tonight.
Am I going to be intimidated away from providing from playing a role in the elections, upcoming elections? No.
Loyal subscriber Bob Collymore says Safaricom keen on IEBC elections contract, condemns NASA rigging allegation. Chebukati expected to pitch for retention of his powers as Electoral Laws Amendments team hosts IEBC tomorrow. Uasin-Gishu MCAs score a first in indulgence as county advertises for 3 extra assistants for each. And maize farmers smell a fortune as President Kenyatta says government will buy all locally grown crop. All right, welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter is George Wambu. Now, Safaricom says it will work with the Electoral Commission in the repeat election, despite accusations against it by opposition leader Raila Odinga. Chief Executive Officer Bob Collymore says the firm has no apologies to make over its role in the August 8th annulled election and accuses NASA of unfairly targeting his staff. NASA has threatened private prosecutions against 6 Safaricom officers it links to alleged election rigging. Sam Gituku begins our report.
In recent days, NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga has been unrelenting in his onslaught against telecommunication giant Safaricom, accusing the firm of allegedly abetting the rigging against him in the August 8th presidential election.
So it is up to you to demand.
But CEO Bob Collymore dismissing NASA's as inconsequential threats.
Am I going to be intimidated away from providing from playing a role in the elections, upcoming elections? No. Safaricom remains committed to the IEBC, in line with the contract we have with them, to relay the results from the CHEMS device to whichever server IEBC wants us to relay it to.
A week ago, NASA leader Raila Odinga named 6 top officials of Safaricom Limited as having engineered fraud in the transmission of results, leading to the illegalities and irregularities witnessed. Collymore now absolving his staff.
These are innocent members of staff who just came to do their jobs, and to put their names into the political arena at a time when the temperature is so high. I have had to double up on their security for them and for their families. And let me ask you a question. How would you feel if it was your brother? How would you feel it was your brother and his wife and his children who are now exposed to this kind of risk because of a political agenda?
Already, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Keriako Tobiko, has required the investigation of the 6 officials, a process that must be concluded within 3 weeks and a way forward determined.
The DCI will conduct its investigation, and if anything is found to be done wrong, I am the one who should be prosecuted, not my team. And I open myself. I say, prosecute me. Don't pick my innocent team.
But Safaricom is set to play an even bigger role in the next election, given its wide coverage, with the firm expected to be the preferred network at majority of the polling stations.
We will now be having a Safaricom SIM card in each of our kits to ensure that we have coverage all over the country. In this over 6,250 polling stations that we do not have a 3G network, Safaricom does not have a good network there. We've been discussing with Safaricom to see whether they can expand their network there.
And if Telkom, Airtel and Safaricom does not transmit the results, then you don't get results transmission. And we're not going to be intimidated from not taking part in it.
IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati yesterday indicated that the Commission was yet to sign a contract with Safaricom, giving time to inform and convince the National Super Alliance of the framework intended. Sam Gitoko, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
All right, thank you, Sam. Now, meanwhile, despite signs that NASA had softened its demands against the Electoral Commission, NASA leader Raila Odinga has declared zero confidence in the IEBC and announced that demos planned for Friday will go on. Stephen Leto reports.
It's just 21 days to the fresh election, and NASA leader Raila Odinga is not mincing words as the opposition escalates its war against the Electoral Commission.
He said nothing is agreed until it is totally agreed. There is no agreement between us and IEBC. As you know, we had presented to IEBC a very concise document outlining what went wrong and what we want to see rectified. Do not be cheated that NASA has some agreement with IEBC and that there is some progress that we are party to. We have no such agreement, and our faith in IEBC remains zero, which is why our political action plan must continue.
NASA faulting IEBC for allegedly disregarding its so-called 12 irreducible minimums conditions.
So therefore, there is still a big gap between us and the IEBC. We told them to close that gap. They are still unable to close that gap. So don't say Jubilee is not complaining. Jubilee cannot complain. If you leave the ground as it was last time, that is what they want. So Jubilee is saying, we have come here, we will now come back on the 27th for the certificate. You see, we are not trying to take Jubilee to the altar so that we can go and then cheer that they have gotten married. We are not going to do that to Jubilee. So we ask IEBC to do a soul searching. Please address yourself to specific issues raised in our document.
The reducible minimums focusing on the ICT infrastructure, with NASA opposed to IEBC contracting French firm Otimofo to supply KIMS. It is also demanding information of the location of all servers, while also opposing the use of a cloud server. NASA has also demanded the GPS coordinates of all the KIMS gadgets. IEBC has insisted that the French firm will supply the ICT infrastructure. On results transmission, NASA is opposed to use of text messages to send results and wants Chebukati to announce the number of voters will have cast their ballot when polls close at 5 p.m. IEBC has already indicated that text messages will now be transmitted simultaneously with scanned images of results forms. Despite IEBC yesterday saying it had reduced NASA's irreducible minimums after the closed-door meeting, Odinga appears dissatisfied and that IEBC had not cancelled the ballot printing tender to Dubai-based firm Al Ghurair.
Those protests shall therefore continue across the country every Monday and Friday in accordance with the law. It is self-evident that the police have been systematically and consistently trigger-happy against unarmed, peaceful NASA supporters and have unleashed brutal force against innocent civilians, including young university students.
No reforms, no elections. We will not participate in an election that will be used to legitimize the presidency of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Raila Amolo Odinga is getting 100% from the whole of Nyanza to one-on-one to equalize Central, and let him watch the space. How things will be moving.
NASA also wants 290 new returning officers deployed. Only last week, IEBC gazetted training schedules of the existing officials. The National Super Alliance maintains it will stick to its irreducible minimum demands, accusing the electoral body of engaging in talks in bad faith with little intent to have a middle ground before the preparation of the 26th October repeat polls. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV, Okoa, Kenya headquarters in Nairobi.
All right, thank you, Stephen. And still on that story, if you're just joining us, my guest in a little short while, the embattled IEBC CEO Ezra Chiloba will be here to answer those and many more questions. And we're asking you the question: should Ezra Chiloba resign as the CEO of the IEBC? SMS your answer, 22422. Let us know yes or no, and we'll read out the answers as we go along with this broadcast. Now, in other news, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, William Ruto, played host to a section of Kuria leaders at State House, Nairobi, as Jubilee reaches out for support in Migori County. Ruto later campaigned in Vihiga County, where he received Yusuf Shanzu of Amani National Congress after he defected to Jubilee. Patrick Igunza has the details.
When Kuria leaders met President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House Nairobi on Wednesday, the agenda was clearly to plan ways through which President Kenyatta will trounce his rival Raila Odinga in the October 26th repeat presidential poll.
Kupitia nyinyi na wenzenu mulitupatia kura ambaye ilitusimamisha katika kaunti ya Migori. Na mimi sina shaka tukijipanga tena hata hizo kura zinaweza siongezeke.
The Jubilee Party scooped both the Kuria East and Kuria West parliamentary seats, and the task ahead for the party is to ensure the president gets an upper hand over his rival.
Safari hiyo ingine mlituombea tukapata. Ile tunawauliza sasa ni tujaze
ile taswishi ya wale watu 1025 ambao walipotea kidogo. Wakati huu tunataka tuzikusanye hizo kura zote. Na kwa sasa hivi tumeshakubaliana kwamba tunataka kufanya kazi hii ikifika saa 6 saa 8 tumemaliza.
And here the president assured the Kuria electorate continued development support. The president further announcing that the government has created 2 more sub-counties, Mabera and Ntimaru, to bring services closer to the people.
Na tunajua hizo zikiwa ni kumaanisha ya kwamba jeshi ikija kuandika sasa nafasi zimeongezeka. Polisi wakija kuandika nafasi zimeongezeka.
Later in the day, Deputy President William Ruto took the Jubilee campaigns to Vihiga County, flanked by area leaders, among them former Governor and MP Moses Akaranga and Yusuf Chanzu, respectively. Ruto told locals that a vote for President Kenyatta was a sure bet for a better future.
Mtu anataka kuwekewa stima, anataka bibi yake ajifungue alibiwe, mtoto asome, stima awekewe. Wewe una kazi yako nasa sijui mtego nasa huyu. Alafu ukianguka kura unaanza kulalamika.
Ruto insisting that the presence of the Jubilee Party and its brigade in the NASA territory is an indication of their determination to carry the day come the much-awaited October poll. The DP receiving Chanzu into Jubilee after defecting from ANC.
Mimi maneno ya kura haikunijalisha kwa maana kama ni kuwa kiongozi nimekuwa kiongozi tangu 1997. Kama ni kazi nimefanyia watu wa Vihiga and I'm satisfied with that. Ile mimi nataka sasa ni kusaidia Uhuru na Ruto kushinda kura tarehe 26. Hiyo ndio kazi yangu sasa.
Tunajua 2013 mlitupatia kura kidogo. Na makosa sio yenu, makosa ni yetu. Kwa sababu hatukuja kuomba. Lakini safari hii tumesema liwe liwalo, juu chini, kulia kushoto. Sisi na nyinyi mkikata kona tunakata na nyinyi. Mpaka safari hii tupige hii kura pamoja.
Basi tunawaambia Yusuf Chanzu, Akaranga, Engineer Madi, welcome to the winning team.
Mudavadi hawezi kufikiria hawa watu watatu kwa nini wameenda pamoja. Huwezi hata kufikiria hata wewe mwenyewe. Wametoka wameenda pamoja. Na tulikuwa tunapigana. Saa hizi vindu vishenjanga. Saa hizi vindu vikorani. Vishenjanga.
Tomorrow, the president and his deputy will take their campaigns to Nyamira County, the home of Supreme Court President David Maraga. Patrick Igunza, JKL.
All right, thank you, Igunza. Now, in other news, business leaders want the electoral calendar regulated to strictly limit campaigns to the officially designated period. Making its submissions to the parliamentary team on electoral laws amendments, the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA, says endless campaigns were hurting the economy. And as Francis Gashuri reports, IEBC will make its presentation before the same team tomorrow.
Sorry to cut you short.
Day 2 of the joint parliamentary committee sittings, members of the public and organizations turning up to make submissions on the election law changes proposed by Jubilee. Yet again, NASA lawmakers snubbing the committee sittings.
Na je, huu ndio wakati mwafaka wa kuweka sheria wakati tunaona vema kwamba taifa limegawanyika? Kwa sababu lazima tuwe wabunge ambao tunaenda zaidi ya vyama vyetu.
Mambo ya kura, computer is not a human being. Hata Yesu ile menaomba akikuja hapa kupikia watu kura au returning officer, lazima mmoja atapita kura, mwingine ataanguka kura.
There cannot be any extra constitutional method to bring reforms, even to such a hot issue as the election.
I'm appealing to this committee and the parliament as a whole and the country as a whole that let us not do things which can become repugnant or retrogressive in the long run.
The business community weighing in as the political happenings in the country jolt the country's economy. Kenya Private Sector Alliance KEPSA calling for speedy closure on the presidential contest to save the business community from more losses.
Find a way in which the entire process of elections can be contained within the shortest time possible.
As you consider these amendments and all that, we hope that they will not have an impact of hampering the IBC from doing the election by the 26th.
Religious leaders were also expected but did not show up. Instead, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, held a delegates meeting at Jumuiya Conference Center in Limuru and urged Parliament to go slow on the proposed changes to the election laws. NCCK proposing constitutional amendments after the 26th October polls to create more positions in pursuit of a government of national unity.
Expand the executive of government by creating new positions to enable greater inclusivity and create wider ownership of government by Kenyan communities.
And to purge the winner-takes-it-all contest that is often acrimonious.
Make provision for a dignified national opposition with facilitation and funding to be able to play its role of checking government in parliament and outside and promoting national integration and development.
IEBC will tomorrow appear before the Joint Parliamentary Committee co-chaired by William Cheptumo and Fatma Dulo to make submissions on the proposed electoral law changes.
The problems which we were faulted on by the Supreme Court was not for lack of law. It's more of the structural framework which the Commission has since now looked at and say, yes, it's doable. We don't need any more laws to give Kenyans an election on 26th of October.
These amendments are for posterity and for the benefit of every Kenyan.
We really do not want to follow Jubilee into their madness. Those are people who belong to Madari Correctional Institution. So we don't want to talk to them about those. Okay?
Francis Gashuri, JKL.
All right, thank you, Francis. Now, on to county news, and the taxpayer could end up footing more than R1 billion shillings annual wage bill for assistance to members of the county assemblies. In a deal reportedly sanctioned by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, each of the 1,440 elected MCAs is entitled to 3 personal helpers at the county government cost. And as Hassan Mugambi reports, some counties have already advertised for the slots.
Members of the County Assembly may have had their plans to have 6 assistants shot down in 2014, but it seems the MCAs may still have their way if an advertisement put out in the dailies by the Uasin Gishu County government today is anything to go by. In a move expected to provoke public debate, the County Assembly is looking for 90 assistants, 3 each for its 30 elected members of County Assembly. When the recruitment is done, each MCA will enjoy the services of an office secretary, personal assistant to the MCA, and ward office security guard. The county claims the recruitment has the blessings of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Sources privy to the County Service Board revealed to Citizen TV that the ward secretary will earn a basic salary of 15,000 Kenya shillings, personal assistant to the MCA will pocket 20,000 Kenya shillings, while the guard will take home 10,000 Kenya shillings every month. If other counties follow suit as expected, and considering the 1,450 elected MCAs in the country, quick mathematics mean the Treasury will have to release 1.04 billion shillings every year to fund the county legislators. The push for personal assistance is apparently informed by a similar provision for MPs who have up to 6 officers hired at taxpayers' expense in constituency offices. Hassan Mugambi, Citizen TV.
All right, thank you, Hassan. Now, more roundup from around the country. 4 police officers have been hospitalized in Nairobi for suspected cholera. And in Mombasa, nurses held demonstrations with their trade union officials, insisting they will continue with their strike despite the government's threat to sack them. Koinange reports in our county wrap tonight.
The officers are said to have eaten meals at Jamhuri grounds during the ongoing Nairobi Trade Fair. They were rushed to Mbagathi District Hospital after exhibiting cholera symptoms early Wednesday. According to the Nairobi County Executive Director responsible for health services, Dr. Bernard Muia, doctors are examining the officers to determine whether they have been infected. He has, however, indicated that primary examination shows that the officers could be suffering from food poisoning. Cases of cholera outbreak have been reported in Nairobi County since May this year. In Mombasa, the Kenya National Union of Nurses officials led members in demonstrations across the coastal city. Led by the union's acting national chairman Joseph Ngwasi, the officials downplayed the sacking threat by Health Cabinet Secretary Cleopa Mailu. They blamed the CS for what they said was intimidating them, insisting they will continue with the strike until their issues are fully addressed. They also called on Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho to intervene and help solve the stalemate at the county. Nurses countrywide have been on strike for close to 4 months. They blame the government for failing to honor their collective bargaining agreement.
By saying that the issues that nurses have raised are not grievous enough, that is being dishonest. We want to remind him that nurses are exposed to greater risks.
Finally, in Baringo County, a day after 6 people were reported to have died at a village in Tiaty constituency, resulting from malaria outbreak, residents say the death toll has risen to 9. This is despite the county administration insisting that only 3 people have succumbed due to malaria. Baringo County Health Chief Officer Richard Koech has stated that the county administration has put various measures aimed at preventing more harm. He has, however, appealed to the national government and humanitarian agencies to offer them more help in controlling the disease. Koinange, JKL.
All right, thank you, Makori. On that note, we're going to take a break, come back, and do a bit of business news, sports, and then the man here. Not here yet. He's still here on the picture. My guest tonight, embattled IEBC CEO Ezra Chiloba, who I understand is in the building. Get your questions ready. We're asking you the question, poll question. Should Ezra Chiloba resign as the CEO of the IEBC? So far, 57% of you say yes. 43% of you say no. Monica, those numbers don't reflect. Thank you very much. 57% of you say yes. 43% of you say no. Keep texting. SMS number 22422. You can also tweet at Koinange Jeff, at Ezra, at Chilo Bay. And of course, at Citizen TV Kenya, you can't make this stuff up. Hashtag JK Live. And JK Live will be back in a moment.
You can get 30 or 50 GB to share with your co-workers or customers via a hotspot or wireless router. With easy data bundles, the Kenya School of Integrated Medicine is a ready institution.